All right. Welcome, everyone. I am so sorry for the delays. We had a bunch of tech issues trying to set everything up. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's International Asexuality Day, April 6th every year. We celebrate International Asexuality Day with a particular focus at uplifting the lived experiences of those outside of, Western Europe and North America in, especially non-English speaking countries where representation has normally been rather limited. And I'm so excited to have Maya and Ritash joining us all the way from India to chat about International Asexuality Day. I would love to allow. Do you want to go first, Ritash, or do you want to go first, Maya, in introducing yourself? Maya, introduce yourself.
Oh, very good evening, everyone. Myself, Shakti Sri Maya. First of all, I'm wishing everyone like happy International Asexual Day. And today, even before some time, I was sharing my experience and other things. I'm feeling very happy to be here, and I'm feeling very happy to share my lively experience and then how I identified and then what I wanted to convey to all other queer friends. Um yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Ritash.
okay. Thank you, Maya. Thank you, Tawai. Very happy being here. International Asexuality Day 2026 wishes to all. Of course, the dream is every day should be Asexuality Day and for all queer and, the typically unheard voices. Yeah, so we are in India. It is almost 9:10 p.m. or the same day, of course, not a different day. And very happy to be with my friends here. Maya, who I know for about a decade now, and Taiwai for the last 2 years. We all independently chat. And yeah, so extremely, you know, uh, delighted and honored to be here. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you so much again to both of you for joining me today to have
Thank you.
some really important discussions.
Okay, you can. Will you be asking the
Yeah,
questions now?
so I've got a few questions here that I figured that we can ask, and I'll just start by saying, and we already kind of alluded to this, historically, a lot of ACE representation in, ACE discourse and in mainstream media has always been from Western, not surprisingly, English-speaking countries, and for the most part is very much white. And BIPOC ACE representation has been extremely limited, and especially so outside of the US, Canada, and Western Europe. And so, International Asexuality Day was first celebrated in 2021 and aims to highlight the experiences of the international ACE community, particularly those outside the West and in non English speaking countries. Reflecting kind of on this, in your experience, why is our days like IAD so important for us?
Okay, so uh, like as I am living in India, so what I think asexuality is often met with the silence, and people have many questions within themselves, and with the confusion and with many denial from others, because we live in a world that constantly tells between the people the attraction is must and should. Even but what I feel the attraction is must and should, but according to themselves, not and it is not a mandatory to get attraction with others, like physically and mentally. So as being a asexual person, like I get attraction mentally, and because the love must something like has to look in a certain way, because that desire defines my humanity. Especially today, the purpose of being here, I want to convey four things. One is advocacy, and the second one is a celebration, and educating others, and the fourth thing is solidarity. Because we are facing stigma and discrimination within the queer people, whatever, our friends, our family, because they didn't understand our feelings. And as being a asexual person, I wanted to celebrate and I wanted to embrace my body, and then I really feel like celebrating with my other friends. And uh, beyond all these things, it's not like celebrating within myself and my friends. I also wanted to educate to other people, who are cis, a non-asexual people. So this is what I feel. And now maybe Ritash has a very good friends, and then a Taiwan have a very good friends to understand. Maybe I do not, unfortunately, I do not have much friends to who understand and then support me, is except few, very few. So I want to support, and then whatever I can able to do, wanted to do something for other people also.
Beautiful. So should I also respond? Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Maya. And go ahead,
Yeah.
Ritash.
Yeah. My gosh, that is so heartwarming. Like I said, we are all friends for a while. Maybe three of us together are meeting for the first time, but yeah. And that's the thing. We're sitting in different time zones, different thousands of miles away from each other. Even within India, Maya and I are a few hundred kilometers away from each other, right? But the whole thing about the larger commonalities of being within the LGBTQIA plus spectrum, I am gender diverse, and I know Taiwan's identity and Maya's identity is similar but not the same. But here we are, celebrating one part of ourselves, which is like Maya said, is not celebrated, and in fact, deliberately erased, invalidated, questioned, so much so that if we talk about it, Maya was saying a few minutes earlier, that as though we are trying to gain attention, but actually we asexual people are the ones who do not really seek attention, and Taiwan also said, right, about power. Right. So someone else's power seems to be questioned or upset because of us, though that is not even our intention and we do not even think about such things. I'm not speaking for everybody, but this is a sense that I get, for so many years of talking to so many aces, right? But Maya, we are with you, okay? It doesn't matter. Our similarities, our overlaps, our shared identities and beliefs, and most importantly, our strengths and vulnerabilities are important. So, my friend is your friend, kind of, right? And
Yeah, so
yeah,
thank you
so
so much.
yeah. And when Taiwan asked me, immediately, I jumped on the opportunity. Now, see, I have that latitude with Taiwan. We haven't physically met, but we share so much, so regularly. Okay. Maya, you and I like meet maybe face to face once a year. Even that is a lot sometimes. I think face to face. I can't believe that we haven't met face to face for a few years now. Okay, it doesn't matter. We are so comfortable with each other. We know also. We even share about our immediate social circles and our activities and everything else. But all I'm trying to say is here that the ace bond, if I can call it that, is what is holding us together. So, any of you allos, it's fine if you don't know but want to know. There's again a respectful way of knowing and asking. But the International Asexuality Day, again, I have this utopian idea that it should be every day for all queer people and not, right, not limited to one day or 1 week in October or something. But it is because many times people are coming like up to LGBTQ, somewhere they don't even add the plus. Okay, and it becomes some big thing for them to add the A, and they'll be like, and still sometimes people are like, oh, is it, like you said, is it a possibility? Just like sexuality is a possibility, asexuality is also a possibility. It is also a different kinds of a sexuality. It is not an absence of sexuality. Yeah, I know I went very detailed, but yeah, thank you.
No, absolutely. All absolutely fantastic points. And thank you so much again for sharing. Exactly. We often define asexuality as an absence of sexual attraction, but I think there's so much more to it, and there's a lot of nuance that's not able to be captured by that particular definition. And there's always been a great debate within the ace community. What exactly is the best way to define our experience? And by highlighting the fact that it's an absence is maybe potentially detrimental for us in many ways, because it singles us out as non-normative. And this is something I've often struggled with. I know Sharonda J. Brown defines it as a non-normative relationship to sexual attraction, which in some ways I prefer, because it gets around that absence of and the lack of that we often talk about with asexuality. But I've never really known what the best way to describe asexuality as. Like many aces kind of debate what's the best way to define our experience.
Maya, you answer, because
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I think, we exist beyond those expectations. Asexuality is not something like a phase, and it is not a confusion. It is not something to be fixed, and we are not abnormal, because we are normal like you guys. So it is not a because asexual, it is natural and beautiful identity, what I say, what I believe, and what I am. Because some of us may feel like very romantic attraction, some of us may not, because there is no compulsion, and some of us may find a connection in their own way that society doesn't want them to understand also. That is absolutely okay, because many sexual identity, or like is how to say, I don't know how to like express, because of these expression, like expectations and all, like many, what happens in the society, like many individuals like who are in a sexual way and all, they feel like really broken after, because they are unable to meet their expectations. But we are here that we can connect with each other on a humanitarian basis. See, and when it comes to society, like what I noticed, they are finding themselves really hard to accept our identities. Okay, because in their point of view, asexual, and especially when in my case, intersex asexual women, it is a narrow definition for them, and that's not my job to like explain each and everyone. Even few people are not even in my cup of tea. That's not my job. Like, if people are okay and people really wanted to know about me, then I can. Otherwise, I won't. But I know who I am.
Yeah. Oh, yes, that is such a fantastic and such a nuanced reply. Making my life easier each time. Maya, your beautiful words. Also, uh, right, like I was also thinking that um, aces, yes, we have the commonality. The biggest commonality, of course, is absence of sexual attraction, or minimal, or also not prioritizing it. Yes, and like you said, it's not something we can become, or it's a phase or something we can change and stuff like that. And having said that, for me, what is also more comfortable and convenient is that asexuality is a spectrum, which I think unnecessarily confuses people, but whereas, is so much more reassuring and affirming for me, and which I have heard. So it's like, in fact, it can be some kind of a trend, or which, say, somebody who's pan. I don't know, there are so many more sexualities which people are coming up, which is, I think, very healthy and very necessary. So somebody, there's omnisexual and everything. So it's like, yes. So when you have a spectrum, just like we have all the queer and trans identities and intersex identities on a spectrum, and variations, and diversity within diversity, it just makes it so much more easier that, oh, okay, it doesn't have to be this only. Okay. And so what if somebody is trying to impose something on you? I express myself this way. I am very happy, confident, and most importantly, self respecting with this. And whatever anybody says, I will respectfully disagree, or disengage, or, maybe not even respond. Okay. Because that is my choice, because it's only about myself. I'm not even expecting somebody else to agree, for leave alone, adhere to it. Who am I to? And I expect the same from somebody else. And if somebody is, trying to be disrespectful towards me, depending on my frame of mind and the situation, then I will either tell them respectfully, or just kind of be silent. But I will for sure decide, who I am. It's not somebody's attack, or rejection, or even questioning, is not going to change what I think of myself. Just one more thing. But yet, this spectrum again allows me the flexibility. And flexibility doesn't mean you're going to change things in 1 hour or 3 days or something, right? Because it's a process, right? It's a journey, right? Self acceptance, and so again. And just because I'm out in public doesn't mean I will tell everybody the same thing. Okay. But again, that does not mean that, I am unsure, or so what if I am? But yeah, so essentially, I very much agree and accept your points that this is self-defined and self-identified. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. You know
Uh,
yourself best.
yes, one more last point I wanted to add here. It is not our job to measure our worth against any other person's expectations. It's not our job. We are not here to do that.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And while we are willing to educate somebody, ignorance is okay, indifference and, disrespect is not. And if people still do not understand, it means somewhere they don't want to understand, despite sort of trying to help them to understand through our own narratives or resources or both. But yeah, we will draw a line over there. Yeah.
Absolutely. We are willing to talk about our experiences, with folks that want to learn, but also at the same time, somebody pointed out something to me a couple years ago, that it's not so much you're coming out to folks, it's you're letting folks in. And if you don't feel comfortable letting that person in on your identity, you don't have to. It's none of their business. So exactly. I absolutely love the points that you both have made so far with regards to that.
Can I just add one more thing? Sorry,
Absolutely.
And the thing about language. Okay. Maya, you want to reflect on that, and then I will again, add to that, because we both speak English because we studied English, right? But we also speak so many more languages, and sometimes that can be, in a way, a challenge, but in a way also helpful. You want to
Okay.
reflect on that, Maya?
Okay, can you please elaborate the question bit more that I can answer on that?
Okay. One second. Sorry. The many of these words are coming first in English. Asexual, right?
Yes.
And in India, like, we have an advantage speaking English, right? But
Yes.
actually, more than 50% of India knows so many other languages, but may not know English, or they may not know English comfortably enough, and we may not be able to express the same thing in another language. So,
Yeah.
do you find that a challenge, but also helpful in its own ways, when you're talking about asexuality or any of your queer identities?
Okay, I'm sorry to say one thing, especially in India. So, like in English, like we have many terms to use, even like LGBTIQA plus. But when it comes to other languages, yeah, absolutely, it's a diverse country. But if we come out as a gay or like a lesbian or intersex or like asexuality, simply they call out and some unparliamentary words by so-called people. So I'm not even like ready to hear those words actually, seriously. That really hurts, and then that really suppress me down. They simply use that word. If I I wanted to share something like one fine day I was sharing that I'm intersex person. Somebody like asked me, what is meant by intersex? People who do sex work, they are intersex, right? So just imagine people are like that, and because even educated people they are not aware of intersex. And if I go and talk about asexuality to them, sorry, with them, like how can they understand us? Right now, like I'm educating the people who really wanted to know about asexuality, and maximum I'm just avoiding other people because I do not want to prove, I do not want to what to say, portray myself in front of others, because they think that their identity is real, my identity is unreal. They are valid, and then like I am invalid, and they are complete and I'm incomplete. Like why all these things happening? Because they do not have education, and then so-called people like if asexuality or like intersex and other queer umbrella terms, like they use that are simply unparliamentary words. uh, so like I do not want to discuss much uh, in the like what to say, um, with everyone, only to the valid people, because I do not want to waste my time also.
Yeah, thank you, Maya. Um, Also, other thing is that yes, in India, yes, we respect, and sometimes however many languages we know, sometimes the level of comfort is more in one or two languages, right? So to be able to convey this as a terminology may be difficult, and that is why some of us are trying to find many words. But sometimes we can also flip it, no? Like we can, why should we only use one word or 5 words to describe something, right? It is better maybe we explain something in a brief way rather than use one word or just 2 words and confuse people and make them misinterpret, like you said. But of course, when we have put that effort, okay, because supposing we are talking about ourselves and someone genuinely wants to learn, and we can understand someone's genuinity or not, so then they should also make that effort to try and understand from our perspective, rather than saying, oh, this is impossible, this is a basic need, everybody has this, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's okay to not know certain languages. Everybody can't know everything, even if they know many languages. But to keep invalidating and erasing is unacceptable. Taiwan, I thought this was an important point, because you were saying, when we are largely still not an English speaking country, though it's one official language of the government. We thought it is an important thing which people may be interested in and stuff like that. So, did you have another couple of questions? I think.
Yeah, so I do have a number of questions that, I can definitely draw upon. However, I wanted to see, where this conversation went. There's questions that I have related to, the invisibility, which I think we've covered to varying degrees of asexuality, the fact that there's just so much misunderstanding as to what asexuality actually means. The fact that it's really, really hard to find community as aces. There's, it's not like everybody's going around wearing an ace flag on their back. And, if you don't have something like that, how are you going to know somebody's ace? How do you find an ace community? And that's something that many folks in the support groups that I've spoken to have said for years. They struggled to find any sort of community. And I'm sure that is, very much a universal ace experience.
Yeah. Maya, you want to reflect on that, about finding support groups specifically for and by asexual people?
Uh, it's really like a challenging for myself because I know many things through you only because Ritash only explained me and he cleared like all the doubts whatever I have. Once upon a time, even I didn't know the proper definition and then like what is asexuality because I felt alone and I was in a state of confusion and I really felt very low. But Ritash and few other people whoever I met, um, they created some kind of a space where I am not feeling invisible and alone, seriously. But in India, I feel very challenging. But right now, I'm trying, and then like Rita is also doing a many webinar on asexuality. Um, Even I speak with a few people, and even I speak with the queer people because I do not want asexual person to feel very less. Uh, Even they are maybe they might from a queer community or like they might from the cisgender, but I wanted to say one thing like very clear because we fight for equality. We are at the end of the day, like we are all like fighting for the equality. Each and everyone must include in that, and asexual like voices matter and asexual lives matter to me, and we deserve that dignity, respect, and then like protection, same like other queer people, like what they expect from the society. Because they, again, like as I said, they are thinking that we are not real and we are not valid, we are incomplete. Then who the hell are you to say all these things? You are like dumping me somewhere, but I do not want it to. So, we are all like creating a world like where we need some space, respect, protection, and other things. But you guys are not ready to accept us. We are accepting you. You guys are like not ready to accept us. And then um, I think like visibility is not about like a privilege. It is a right actually.
Hmm.
Especially on this intersex as like international asexuality. So uh let's listen, let's learn, and then let's stand in solidarity.
Wow, wonderful. Superb. Yeah. I mean, yes, the support groups, if they did not exist, right? And Taiwan, I know you do a lot in your community also, wherever you are, and sometimes literally you travel distances to, do this. And it is so important and it is so rare that too, as a 52-year-old person, right? I almost come from a different generation where all the so-called knowledge and learning, knowing languages and the, curiosity, reading, being in a progressive household, whatever, urban, all that did not help because even of course, I understood about my asexuality without knowing the term and without knowing it's possible or having other people. But this being alone in the world, I felt it for so many years that, that even with internet access, which came slowly for someone like me, I did not know what to look for, where to find it. Okay. So, yeah, it was not something as simple as, okay, instead of Google, we had Yahoo or Alta Vista. That was not the issue. It's like, what do I type? Or where do I go and read, from even a physical book when I don't know what it is called or that it is a possibility? And in a way, it was also sort of self-harming, because I kept thinking that, somehow I should create this desire in me, and somewhere I was reducing my, what do you call, not exactly self-esteem, but, unnecessarily pressurizing myself. And strangely, which I don't often disclose, but I have considered self-harm, like, yeah, I mean, I just want to end myself. And because nobody seems to be interested. They want to be friends. They say I'm interested, I'm a nice conversationist, but beyond that, no, right? Because also we think that emotions means by one age or one time you have to have that, right? So yeah, so patriarchy, cis heteronormativity, oh my gosh, it is extremely harmful to us. Yeah. So yeah, the call is, should we take a break and set up a new call? Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Maya,
I'm so sorry
it's
that.
all,
Yeah.
no problem. And Maya,
Yeah,
it's
no problem. I can continue for another 10 minutes. That's
okay,
okay.
great. But
Yeah, actually, like I just wanted to continue here with the Ritash point. So, and not only in myself, and then like whoever I spoke, the emotional isolation that triggers a lot, seriously. Because we are not much connected, and we do not have that supportive system, and we do not have such kind of a platform also. That emotional isolation was like very that it triggers a lot, and then that suppress a lot. Even sometimes I used to face that, because I don't know like who to whom should I go and share about my feelings, because people think we should be romantic and sexually attractive. Yeah.
yeah. So we can end here and then,
Yes.
share the link.
Yep.
And fine. Thank
Okay.
you. We
So
can
for the
take a break.
folks on the podcast, we just have to make a new call here. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back in about 5 minutes. So I'll see you on the other side.
Okay.
All right. Welcome back, folks. Give me 1 second. I have to grab everyone's camera again here. Maya has a wonderful poem that she would like to read out to us all. Let me see here. Where is everybody's camera? This is a new setup for us, and so unfortunately, I don't have everybody's camera here at the moment. All right, why don't you go ahead and read the poem for us while I get all our cameras back on the screen. My apologies.
No, it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm happy to dedicate a poem to all my friends. So the topic is நீ வேறு அதுவே உன் அழகு. நீ வேறு அதுவே உன் அழகு. எல்லோருக்கும் புரியும் பாதையில் நீ நடக்காமல் இருக்கலாம். ஆனால் நீ நடக்கும் பாதை உன் மனசுக்கு சரியானது. காதல் என்பதற்கு ஒற்றை அர்த்தமே இல்லை என்பதை நீ சொல்லாமல் சொல்கிறாய். மௌனத்தாலும் முழுமையான வாழ்வாலும் உன் இதயம் காலியாக இல்லை. அது சாந்தியாலும் உண்மையாலும் நிறைந்திருக்கிறது. வேறு என்பதை கேள்வியாய் அல்ல, ஒரு வண்ணமாக எடுத்துக்கொள்ளும் உன் துணிச்சல் எங்களை இன்னும் மனிதராக மாற்றுகிறது. வேறு என்பது கேள்வியாய் இல்லை, ஒரு வண்ணமாக எடுத்துக்கொள்ளும் உன் துணிச்சல் எங்களை இன்னும் மனிதராக மாற்றுகிறது. நீ முழுமையானவள் என்ற விளக்கமும் வேண்டாதவள், நீ நீயாய் இருப்பதே இந்த உலகிற்கு போதுமானது. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Somebody asked what
Anytime.
language that was in.
It's Tamil.
Tamil? Thank you. Yeah, I unfortunately don't know Tamil myself. I just speak English, unfortunately, but it's beautiful nevertheless. And
I requested Ritash to translate whatever,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
something.
yeah. I'm already typing it. So I just am kind of putting the essence, but I was so lost in the poem because I understand the language and also the way you have expressed it, your facial emotions, and then the voice modulation is so, what do you say? Um, just very entrancing, huh? But human, okay. So this is a very rough translation, huh? Uh, okay. And also, you said, why do you define yourself through someone else's lens, right? That also you were saying some, yeah. So, someone else's lens, yeah. You are complete in yourself. Huh. So yeah, you know what? Just to kind of reflect, like also why translating this sometimes can, as I say, lost in translation. It's not just the meaning, sometimes the essence and the emotion. What was moving and touching, and also something which resonated with me in this poem is that. Like the words, is that the same thing which we've been saying for the last 45 minutes, is that Taiwai, like you said about someone looking at it from a cis heteronormative lens, and then Maya saying that, somebody is like, oh, this is normal, right? This is mandatory kind of thing, right? So that is all you ask, and this need not be someone else asking you. We can ask ourselves, right? And maybe sometimes we can find strength in reminding ourselves, uh, why define yourself through someone else's lens and their words. Yeah, you are complete in yourself. And what even, like, I think the other point you said, what even is completeness, incompleteness? Yeah. So, and it fits in with, because especially the particular other identities that we all are, Tai, if you don't mind, I know you're open as being non-binary. Maya is intersex. I am gender fluid. So even sometimes within the trans community, and this is something which I was ranting off to Taiwan like about 2 hours ago, right? However much you tell somebody, this is what I am, they just want to and the thing is that they call themselves feminists, allies, and all that stuff, right? And they'll just very coolly ignore your pronouns. Pronouns also, even like, because there it is not just about pronouns, it is about an integral part of you. Okay. And also that they just find it sorry. I'm like, don't abuse the word sorry when you don't mean it, right? Because if after telling you so many times, if you think it is important to me, then if you are saying you're a feminist ally, it better be important to you. And because otherwise, by just saying sorry, you're like, okay, fine, it's done, right? And also that, as if it is something I am fussing about, right? So because that is what even people, when they have a dead name, right? And I know Maya has dealt with this immensely, she has shared, okay, right? And then they will deliberately do that and then say, oh, why can't you adjust, right? And to a large extent, even this poem, so lovely, Maya. Thank you for sharing it. and I was so honored to translate it. Okay, so someone constantly just sidelining it is, I think, not just unacceptable, it's disrespectful and it's dehumanizing. Yeah. So yeah, what was, you want to go to the next question, Taiwan?
Absolutely, yeah. Sorry, I was just trying to get my camera set up here because it took me a second to get everybody back on the screen. I know that we've
No
got
problem.
a time crunch. I know you have to leave, Maya. So if you need to leave, please feel free to leave.
Yeah, I
And
have another 3 minutes. Like
yeah,
I'll leave.
so
Join.
I wanted to just
Yeah.
say thank you so much for joining us today. It's been such an honor to speak with you and hear your perspectives and your story today. And what a wonderful poem. I know that I wasn't able to understand it directly, but the rhythm and the passion that you were able to display through it just, I think, came across to everybody here.
Yeah. I understand.
Thank you so much for having me here and giving me like such a huge and like a happy opportunity to share like whatever I felt like and anytime.
Yeah. So I think, Maya, unless you have something further to say, maybe because anyway you have to go in 1 or 2 minutes, you can leave comfortably
Yes.
now, right? And then we can continue
Okay, cool.
by whatever other
Yeah,
questions.
that sounds
Thank
good.
you. Thank you so much, Maya.
Yeah,
I
thank
am
you.
so thrilled and honored that you agreed immediately amidst such a hectic schedule. Yeah.
100%. It's been such an
Yeah.
honor to get to know you today.
Thank you. So
Thank you. Yeah.
bye.
Bye. So yeah, right. My gosh, that was fantastic. I mean, actually, you know what? We navigated the technical challenges so smoothly, Taiwa. It didn't make so much of a difference, right? Because I think you getting to know Maya uh, was very important to me. Okay, because you are such a friend and dear friend, and then like a soulmate, my cheerleader, and everything. So this is like taking our connections further, right? So yeah, so like because I'm sure in future also we can have more conversations and stuff. But
Absolutely.
let's move to your other questions. um,
So, one that I would like to explore a little bit here is the fact that, a lot of the mainstream asexual discourse often ignores disabled aces and rarely accounts for their lived experiences. And I think back to Courtney Lane's discussion, and Courtney Lane was the one who created, Disabled Aces Day, which falls during Ace Week in October. And she mentions how, in an attempt to counteract the pathologization and the medicalization that so many ACEs experience and continue to experience, we often talk about the fact that ACEs are not broken. However, this perspective at best ignores and at worst erases the lived experiences of many disabled ACEs. Based on your lived experiences, what are some of the ways that you felt erased as an ACE with, invisibilized disabilities? And then kind of building on this, can you think of ways we might be able to better account for the lived experiences of disabled ACEs in the mainstream ACE discourse?
Okay, thank you. Because I sort of knew that you were going to come to this. Because again, because of our shared realities, and even Maya is, something which I wanted to mention, but you can't have everything all the time. So yeah, but yes. Oh my gosh, yes, as an ace or an aspect for us, like so many of these, what do I say, days, flags, and other kind of metaphors, symbols are so important. But when you have multiple identities, and in the larger context, it's of course a vulnerability also, and something like an unknown marginality, marginalization, right? And how much more important, and at the same time invalidated it is, right? And like, again, for both of us, it is like a daily reality, right? It is, right? And then yes, we learn to live with it, but the, you feel, yes, more seen, more heard. But again, why should it be only for on that Wednesday during um, International AIDS Awareness Week, right? They'll be like, oh, then they'll say, what about for Black aces? Of course. So we have our friends, Kim and
Marshall and
Alicia and
and Alicia.
Marshall.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who have Soul AIDS Day on the 16th of February, okay. Because they're friends, we want to also honor them by remembering. So, all these things become so much more important. But like Maya said, and like you also have reiterated in many of our offline conversations too, why is it that we have to keep driving it? Okay. We can, we will, we should, until the extent that we want to, right? Then but again, somewhere someone is telling us that this is how you should define it, and another ACE with invisibilized disabilities, they call it non-apparent disabilities. And we are co-writing a piece which is going through so many round of edits because it has to go through some international publication. Yes, we're very excited about it. For over a year, we are at it now. But constantly, we find that somewhere, unknowingly, someone is trying to say which is more important, right? And as though, again, returning to what Maya said, as though we are seeking attention, right? Or, trying to center ourselves. But then when you want to know our story, let us tell it in our words, in our way, okay? And actually, we found that more so after we are writing, because many times writing and speaking brings out something in you which maybe you've suppressed voluntarily, involuntarily for years, right? So this is something, one of our favorite things that, again, I think I might have bounced this off you, is this whole thing of reasonable accommodation, okay? So ableist, right? People, we are not trying to call out everybody for everything, but you just have to see how someone who is not living with those realities is not even stopping with deciding, determining, defining. They're just thrusting it on us, right? And as though then, apart from that, they're doing us a favor, okay? Like, all right, yeah. So right from, say, the screen glare, which is something you handle, and I have also to some extent, actually, what, strangely, the first time I started wearing glasses about not like 28 years ago, was what we call zero power lenses. So just to take off the glare, and everybody was asking me the question. And when I was like, it is because of the glare. So now once something like that starts, it never goes away completely. It can only reduce or you adjust to it. They'll be like, Oh, it's zero power. Oh, so it's not actually a reason, right? I mean, excuse me. It's not that I enjoy wearing glasses, however light they may be, okay? But yes, it's an aid. Yes, sometimes it's uncomfortable and inconvenience, but you do not have to brush it aside simply because it is what you call a zero, whatever definition, zero magnitude, or just some 0.25 or something, because it is something which makes a big difference to me. Not your invalidation, but that need that I have to wear those, right? Instead of computer screens, doing that automatically. So, like, say by the late 90s, computers were there everywhere. And for many of us, our, whatever you call job, livelihood, existence was impossible without them. So then now that's kind of a majoritarian need, right? So isn't that something fundamental that you have to think of, right? Or so that is the thing, right? And then people would suggest, like, why don't you put a screen in front of it and stuff like that? But sometimes it's so much easier said than done, because at the workplace they do not provide you something what you need, and it's not something which you can carry everywhere, because also mobile phones were becoming the next big thing, or the most ubiquitous. So for that also, the same thing. And now, when not only that other is, but just this point I'll finish off here. I know a couple of other queer people who have degenerative vision issues. And for them, they use backlight display, or make the screen font much bigger and all that, and to be able to do that on even the biggest screen, or on a smartphone, is actually not just inconvenient, it is tiring, because somewhere it is. So it's like all the people, who should be actually deciding and determining the needs, are not even involved in somebody who designs this or something. And then later we are told that we are being fussy, or that, okay, this is the extent to which you can do, right? And you know what, suddenly, sorry, I'm just extending this point, but it makes sense to me. It's like, in a way, again and again returning to patriarchy, that patriarchy dictates to, to people who actually are experiencing life in a different way, how they should be or not be. Like, the one major issue, challenge, discussion, debate actually is about life choices, right? Right from gender identity to reproductive choices, or even what we aces do, right? Asexuality chose me, but whether I want to disclose it and whether I want to affirm it to myself through possibly exploring sexual encounters or not is my choice. So you cannot sit in judgment, right? So yeah, I know that's a longish answer, but I thought these things all fit in.
Absolutely. You brought up so many great points, and wow, I'm just trying to think, I really want to reflect on the fact that it is absolutely true that it's those in power, the able-bodied folks, that make the decisions as to what is considered a reasonable request, and they impose that upon us, and then they tell us that we're being unreasonable when we even request the most basic minimum of accommodations, even by their standards. Oh, it's too hard for us to accommodate you. And then they are the ones that impose the fact that, you know, we are invalid for not, you know, experiencing sexual attraction just because they feel that that's the normative experience.
Yeah, right. Yes, that's the thing. No, like this whole thing about, oh, you're exaggerating your issue, right? Or you're making it up, right? I mean, like, people have been said right from, say, I have many orthopedic issues. I know people who have, like, different kind of vision issues. And they'll be like, oh, you're pretending. You seem to be fine. To me, that is
What does
not
that even
just-
mean?
Yeah, right, yeah. So correct. I don't think they know what it means. They just have to say it, right? So it's again and again returning to patriarchy and essentially insecurity from anything they define as the norm. You know,
And
right?
as we've talked about before, it's in some eyes seen as a threat to patriarchal control. And you know, the fact that, you know, there are folks, you know, asexual folks for whom sexual activity, sexual desire is not something that they experience. It's seen as a threat to this cis heteronormative patriarchal society where everybody's only job is to procreate. And you know, by having folks for whom that's not priority, or you know, that they don't experience that attraction, is now causing their whole understanding of the world to crumble. And so I think it very much comes into play for sure.
Yeah. We are not spoiling anybody's fun. We are only saying don't come and spoil our fun.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you can just continue with your questions, Ty, or we can, just bounce off each other, whatever you prefer.
You know, kind of building off this, you know, idea that, you know, the cis heteronormative, you know, relationship of, you know, the sexual and romantic relationship as being the only valid one. Relationships which don't meet simultaneously the definition of sexual, romantic, monogamous, and consummated in marriage are not valued or seen as legitimate. And this is something that frustrates me and so many aces and so many aerospec folks to no end. Because why does it have to be those specific types of relationships that are seen as valid? Why can't there be other kinds of relationships? Or, you know, that the relationships that are sexual, romantic, and monogamous are more important than friendship and these other kinds of relationships. It baffles me and frustrates so many of us who are, you know, listening in today.
Yes. Oh, a very valid point, which I think we always sometimes need to discuss more so as aspects. Not because it's enjoyable to discuss their viewpoints, but rather to say this is our life experience. This is how our relationship work. You call it QPR or queer platonic relationships, relationship anarchy, whichever. This is our life, our comfort zone. And if you don't like it, your problem. Right? But just to add a little bit, right? Because, like you said just now, that it's frustrating for us because relationships can be much beyond romance and sex, okay, and also still very healthy, very enjoyable, very enduring, enriching, okay. uh, because actually, you know what, and this is something which my partner and I regularly tell ourselves. And of course, again, if you're an aspect, you will obviously know. But even otherwise, many of us tend to be neurodivergent, queer, or whatever. But that again is not causative, right? One does not mean the other, okay, or imply the other, right? So we are like, I mean, this is it. People are only all the time, and unfortunately, many times, many relationships, if not out in the open, they are dictated by, you know, their sexual compatibility, performance, uh, uh, what else do they say? Satisfaction. Excuse me, is that what you're reducing your relationship to? Right? And there are so many other things in life, okay. And sadly, however much you try, there is always, unfortunately, power imbalance in relationships. And the ones which are built over so many years sometimes crumble, very often because of this, okay. And I'm like, isn't it stressful for you? Don't we have enough violence or hate and pain inflicted because of so many other reasons that you want to let this define you? This is not coming from a point of judgmentality, but from a point of somebody who's experiencing and living life much beyond, and without what you think is a fundamental need. Yeah, fundamental needs differ, okay, and depending on who you are, uh, it might also vary for the same person from time to time. So do not, because again and again, the so-called fundamental need is being determined by somebody else from their viewpoint, and they are getting away with it, okay. But you please do not. And this is me also partly as a peer counselor, support provider, again something which you do type. Also another reason why we bond so much is that because if you are going to constantly benchmark or try to redefine yourself according to somebody else's expectations, norms or whatever, you not only are you not living your life, okay, to the fullest extent, you're living it with so much avoidable pain. Yeah. So I think it is, just it is possible for us to self-reflect and see if, when you have something like, and nowadays, luckily, there are asexual communities, okay, there are support groups, there is information, and and reiterating asexuality, aromanticism, which though are different, tend to be linked, is a spectrum. So, you are who you are, what you are. You can change. Nobody, even if they try to judge you, you can live beyond that. Like also what Maya said, self-love, self-care, self-esteem. This is not philosophy. This is coming from, life as how many of us have navigated. Okay. So, yeah, there will, of course, be so much of other stressors So if you can avoid one, why not? Yeah. And believe me, we aces, just hang out with us even a couple of days or even a few hours, you'll know we have our own way of having fun and relationships. We don't fear, oh, we're going to be lonely, oh, frustrated, boring, helpless. No, okay. So, and we are also saying that don't trust Valentine's Day on us, but that doesn't mean you can't enjoy Valentine's Day with your red hearts and pink roses, right?
Exactly. We're not saying don't have Valentine's Day, don't impose it on everybody as something you have to do or that you should be expected to do just because you want to do it. That's what we're asking.
Yeah. True. Beautiful. Yeah, I like how you summarize that. Yeah. And so, yeah, what shall we talk next?
I think we've kind of addressed a lot of the things that I had, put in here already in varying forms. How are you for time at this point?
I think I can go another 10-15 minutes. I mean, I can go over that also.
Absolutely
But
understandable. Yeah. So,
yeah. But even you also, you've been constantly talking. You might need a break or something.
yeah. So I figure why don't we kind of close with this question then? And this is, what are your hopes for International Asexuality Day going forward? And I guess more particularly for ace advocacy going forward. And is there anything in particular that you'd like the ace community to focus on more?
Yeah, and I just want to, also take a little bit from what we both co-authored, which incidentally is being launched in the UK later today. Yay! What people, we both are talking a lot about what we do together, but it's okay. It's our time, our day, and thank you so much, Tai, for this. This thing about and I liked it very much that right at the beginning you kept emphasizing that it's so important to see the diversity within the global ACE community. And we can comfortably say that at least both of us and a few more of our common friends, the ACEs especially, are fairly connected to people in other whatever countries, continents, cultures, and yeah. So this beautiful diversity and the commonalities, the mutual respect, and these kind of I think I didn't feel like, not because I can't see people much or questions or something, but even when in our Instagram live convos, right, we are so comfortable talking and sharing and listening, responding. So these kind of for lack of a better term, I might say online hangouts, ACE hangouts. Okay, I think more and more, even if they're closed group, especially for people who are just kind of still exploring or are more comfortable only within this, which I think both of us also do whenever possible, are so necessary. And at least if we can try for what you also always do, more diversity within that, because we are all, of course, a sum of so many parts, right? Black aces, disabled aces, BIPOC, brown or something, and intersex aces like Maya, right? Trans, because especially among trans and intersex, I think Maya said that a little bit, and we also know the cis heteronormativity also. And another trans mask friend of mine was saying recently, right? So trans people again, heterosexuality is imposed on them, right? Whereas you and I can easily demystify and debunk that, right? Apart from our own gender identities, we know so many people who are trans and ace, who are, say, NB and AS, and I know a few more intersex and AS people. They could be queer and AS. So so similarly, so that kind of diversity, sometimes I find that the intersecting identities like race and caste and religion is a little more obvious, sometimes for all the wrong reasons, like racism, casteism, and Islamophobia worldwide. But this whole intrinsic and intra-community diversity, if we take the whole spectrum of queer identities, is not only less known, it is highly invisibilized. Because again and again, returning to heteropatriarchy or cis-heteropatriarchy, because, okay, you can be trans, but you have to be heterosexual trans, you have to be binary trans, you have to medically transition, right? And I love how you're like laughing or smiling at that, because then we both, and so many of them perhaps who are watching or listening, or Maya who just left, and other friends we know in other places, are just examples of or lived realities of not all this, right? They're any So, and I know like people, the black ace friends have said, people would be like, oh, if you're black, you can't be trans. Oh, if you're black and trans, you can't be ace, right? Which is so ridiculous. You can barely, and then I know that we've had good laughs over this. Then the fetish about, being brown and ace, right? Being, oh my gosh, the cis male is the kind of, because somehow masculinity again is decided by, right, like sexual performance and virility. Oh my gosh. Sorry if this is triggering, but for me, more than triggering, it is irritating, and also slightly, something so ridiculous. Right. So that one, and just the other thing, which was like Maya was saying, this is inevitable that in India and many other parts of South Asia and even East Asia, and again we ACEs keep telling each other, it's very important to localize, linguistically localize, and socially, socio-culturally localize. Right. So just like people are talking about trans homosexuality, trans lesbianism, I think trans ace and trying to say asexual in one word or multiple words in other languages, is so important, necessary, and I think actually very basic also. It has to be. And yes, it is on us who speak those languages, because you can't limit inclusion, no? Right?
Oh, absolutely not. And, so much of the ACE discourse, so much of the ACE representation historically has always been from the US, from the UK, and it's in English. And if you don't have that diversity, you're not accounting for a huge part of the ACE experience.
Right. Yeah. So yes, I'm glad you actually used the word representation, because I wanted to say that. Yes. ACE misrepresentation, no, thank you. Okay. Currently, I think I mentioned it, in our chat a few hours ago, and also on special Insta Live we did yesterday, because just about a few days ago, somebody was like justifying that, it's not about the sexual orientation, and using the word asexuality and masculinity, and oh my gosh, so triggering and so unnecessary, the violence, and as if somebody's masculinity is being limited because they are asexual, but at the same time, because they are actually, the word over there they should have used is being celibate or desexualizing. Because of that, then their energy can be used anyway. That person just did not get it, and therefore was not wanting to get our, saying that it is acephobic, and and also justifying that they've got 16 years academic experience. So I mean, yeah. So anyway, thank you for listening.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for joining today and for sharing your experiences and being able to provide some insights that me over here in Canada would never be able to provide. I can only go based on my lived experiences, as a white settler here over in Canada. And, that's my experience, but it's only one of many ACE experiences. So thank
Yeah.
you so much for not only, joining me today, but also introducing me to Maya and, for having such wonderful chats today.
Yeah, and thank you so much for, I must say, re-inviting. And it's always lovely talking with you, chatting with you, and also very, very grateful that you're there as a friend and a supporter. So many times you also very tuned in with what's happening in India, unfortunately, especially for the last few weeks. With now it's an amendment, a regressive draconian amendment, and we are seeing the fallout already. Not that everything was hunky-dory for transgender, diverse, intersex people anywhere in the world, and
No.
that is not a justification for these things happening, because it's all interconnected, right? We saw it coming
Mm-hmm.
when the POTUS did it last year, and but we are holding back, we're pushing back, and that is why we are all holding each other together, locally, globally. So thank you so much. And also to say that we also learn so much from y'all. It's not that you just because you are, like you said, yes, maybe, as they say, in a position of relatively slightly more privileged, but then there's so many other things, right? About how, like, I was just flabbergasted to hear about how the healthcare system in the US, UK, Canada, Australia, and all that, when it comes to trans people, when it comes to gender diverse, intersex, or ace people, is hardly any different. As exclusionary, as phobic. Yeah, I'm laughing. It's not funny, but sometimes it's my coping mechanism. So sorry about that. But yeah, thank you so, so much, Taiwai, and look forward to continuing. Yeah, this
Absolutely.
very
Thank you
special
so much.
friendship that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much again. Happy International Asexuality Day. And
Yeah.
at this point, I think we will send our stream over to a good friend of ours.